So, welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a good week so far. And we are in our final session for the IMEP Online this year. Before we get underway, as always, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land here in Southeast Melbourne, the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, and recognize their continuing connection to the land and the water and the community, and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Um, and As usual, our housekeeping notes, if possible, change your profile name to who you are and where you're from so we can all see each other. And also, if possible, try to have your camera on if you are able to, so we can all connect a little bit better, especially our speakers, so they can see everyone as well. And as usual, we do record the session for internal purposes only, and request that we don't record any audio from the sessions. We can all speak freely. So today's topic, social entrepreneurship, maximizing impact and creating change. And I know this is something that we're all very much already involved in. I know many of you have got lots of successes and some interesting journeys that you've been on. And we shared that in our delegate spotlights last week about people getting kasasar or lost on the way. So we had some really beautiful stories. So hopefully this session will also resonate with you all. Perhaps, and it will also be our final session. And we wanted to choose something with a positive focus, something that will give us energy to move into our next phase of the program, the in-person, but also start to think about how we can take, the learnings from the program back to our communities and how we can start to look forward towards the meeting and the collab sessions we have planned in Jakarta and Melbourne. To help unpack those sessions, those questions with you this afternoon, and how do we take the ideas we have and translate them into social impact for our communities and make them a bit more of a reality. We have two wonderful speakers who bring a wealth of experience in translating their own ideas into reality and supporting others around them to do the same as well. So I will now invite our first speaker, who is Goris Mustaqim, Kang Goris, who is from Indonesia. He's an engineer by training. He is now a serial social entrepreneur and the founder of the Asgar Muda Foundation, which is in his hometown of Garut in West Java. And it works in youth education, microfinance, and entrepreneurship. And it's a youth-led social enterprise. One of their initiatives is Saving Next Gen Indonesia, which reduces maternal mortality and stunting through data analytics. And Kang Goris has also established Semut Nusantara, which he might tell you about, which creates social change through things like community-based tourism and farmer fishermen cooperatives and so on. So he's passionate about mentoring and encouraging youth to pursue business and strengthen community development. So hopefully he can mentor us today. And he's also a 2017 IMEP alumnus. So we're looking forward to to hearing from you, Kang Goris. Silakan, Kang Goris.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
From for all of you in Indonesia, and of course, good evening for you in Australia. Thank you for the invitation. I feel very humble to come here. I had a chance to read over your bio, your amazing bio. So I think hopefully some of our issue is kind of connected. Is also so many intersection in the field, and we had lots of project of course in your respective areas. So hopefully, I think this is only the beginning. My topic today would be regarding IMS community as managing of change. So I think hopefully I already read over your bios and found that some of you already has a social project or maybe also the social enterprise. And I think I want to share some of the takeaway from my journey so far. So I hope that it won't be take too much time. So my first slide going to be introduction. I am now active in three communities in three social enterprise. First is Semutu Santara, of course. This is a social enterprise focusing on local economic development that intersect with the
Sorry,
sustainability.
sorry, Kang Gladys, your voice is breaking up a lot for me. I think I'm not sure if it is for others, but I wonder if are you on Wi-Fi
Yes.
or cell? Maybe it might be better
Can
to
you hear
try
me now?
mobile data, maybe. That's better. Yeah. Uh,
I changed my net package today. So hopefully this work finally. I'm also founder some Happiness Indonesia. This is a non-profit foundation focusing on maternal and child health. And the last organization is Parentera Mitra Strategis. This is impact investment, boutique impact investment, focusing on housing, small housing development in some of the major cities in Indonesia. And this is kind of impact
I
because
think,
some of
sorry,
the
Kang Gladys,
dividend.
do you mind it trying maybe turning
Yes.
off your camera? It's still breaking up. Yeah,
Okay.
let's try again.
Is this work?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm out of town actually in Banyumas in hotel. So yeah, I think hopefully
Okay.
internet will be not so bad. Yeah.
That seems to be better.
And yes, apologize. So that's my three organization. And I'm also active on mentoring and also become the judge in several social entrepreneurship movement and program in Indonesia and global. So we have lots of program, but I think at the core we are a business support provider that helping local people all over Indonesia to turn their ideas, to turn their potential into community-based enterprise. So we act a business support provider like coaching, mentoring, business support, marketing support for the community-based enterprise. We also have a service where we help the corporation to reach their corporate sustainability, ESG, SDG something, and of course impact evaluation and training. These are some of the clients, mostly state-owned company, multinationals, and international development organization. So currently we have almost 98,000 beneficiaries, direct, indirect, all over Indonesia in 19 provinces currently. For example, the BUMDes or village-owned company, community-based tourism or sustainable tourism, farmers, fishermen cooperative, migrant workers, and small medium enterprise. This is one of our work in Gunung Kidul in Yogyakarta. I saw that some of you also from Yogyakarta, so this is quite familiar for you, I believe. Ngelanggeran Village, who already named as best UNWTO community-based tourism by 2023. So we work with the local people there, local champion, to develop the sustainable tourisms that not just mainly think about profit, but also social and environmental aspect. The next case also in Yogyakarta, where we develop one of the fishermen's cooperative in Kamina Projomino to develop their businesses, not just traditional fisherman business, but also they can export during pandemic their product. And also we are working on the hilirisasi of their product to the end product, not just the fish, the raw fish, and also the another businesses. My first key takeaway would be the community engagement. I think this is kinda important because, as we already know in Al-Quran, in Arod verses 11, Allah won't change people condition until they change their own state. So I think this is a key takeaway point. This is the important point that how we can start the social enterprise with the participative models, because we should know what are the problem, what is the root cause of the problem, and of course what is the important for the local people, and also how they think, what are their priorities. So I think this is how we can also participative during our planning. This is not just about the planning, but also the how we can identify the commitment of the stakeholders. That's also important. and also how we can identify the local champion. So, for example, we have our study case during our community empowerment in Molucas in Maluku, is in eastern part of Indonesia when we are working on financial literacy. So most of the fishermen there are actually quite rich because once they go to the sea for fishing, they get maybe around 10 million rupiah. So it's around 1,000 Australian dollar. But I think they are still in poor condition. And once we doing assessment, they kind of, because this the system, the value chain, the value chain there. They have to borrow the money for the fishing from the loan shark or supplier, we call it. So once we know, maybe the solution would be the traditional financial literacy. You have to saving your money, or maybe the another way, dana darurat or emergency fund, but it's not working. So once we talk to the supplier, they are really want also to improve the people condition there, but they don't know anything. So once we know what's kind of important for the supplier, they want to be recognized as one of who helped the local people there. We got the award from Bupati and from ulama or the religious leader there to give them the award that they are a socially responsible supplier. They start the good practice, they limit the fund, they loan to the fishermen, and of course, once they can disburse the money to the fishermen, they also keep some of them and sending to the bank as the emergency fund or a saving. So once it is working, it's kind of improve the people's livelihood there. So I think this is what I recognize as the social capital. You cannot find the solution if you do not put yourself in their shoes. How did they interact? Because the supplier is also the family of the fisherman. So it is not just the traditional solution we are looking for, but how the solution can work to adopt the root cause of the problem there. So that's one of the example. And of course the commitment, because as the Al-Quran Surat Ar-Rod said, if they're not willing to change their condition, it is not working. So we have to work with the local champion who share the vision, who share also the stories, who want to improve their livelihood. So I think this is quite important. Another participative approach, we do also business mapping. How, in terms of ideation, we also involving them. So we have some of the interesting framework, call it nasi, Indonesian, of course familiar with nasi because it is Indonesian staple food. No food, no eat without nasi. So I think that's quite kind of familiar for Indonesian. So we can mapping the business ideas using this framework, network, asset, skill, and idea. So we can also discuss with them what kind of network, market network, asset. This is not just physical, also intangible asset, like the social capital as well, and also the skill, hard skill, I mean. And once they have lots of intersection in ideas, I think that will be the best business idea. So we are not just teaching them, but also how we can improve their critical thinking, improve their business ideas, because our theory of change is investing in local people capacity, leadership, and entrepreneurial. So it is kind of critical on how they want to pursue their business idea using this framework. My key takeaway number 2 would be working as stakeholder. In the terms of reference, Pak Rowan already mentioned about how to engage with people. And we know that in order to create a social change, it takes a collaboration, because it is not just technical. It is kind of complicated. It is a systemic problem, not just technical problem. So I have study case in my foundation that working for stunting and maternal issue all over Indonesia. We capacitate the local people, especially key village stakeholders, to have a better programming using their village fund for the stunting program. This I think I have to mention about this adaptive technical work term before. This technical, we know that the problem is kind of clear. For example, your car doesn't work, or maybe your air conditioner in your room doesn't work. So I think the problem is quite clear. The solution also clear. And locus who can solve the problem, I think is quite clear. Expert on air conditioner or authority. But in terms of adaptive problem, adaptive challenge, the problem is still unclear, require learning and loss, and the solution is kinda we don't know actually what's better, and who can solve this problem. There is no expert, there is no such authority on this case, but stakeholders. That's why in order you have to create a social innovation, social change, I think you have to work as stakeholders. So, for example, we work with the multi-store stakeholders in terms in pushing this how we can decrease the stunting prevalence in all of the village. For example, in Nusa Tenggara Barat, we work with the governor, we work with the Dinas, Bapeda, DPMD, village office, and also the regional planning agency to scale up our program in more than 100 villages all over Nusa Tenggara Barat, as well as NTT also in East Java, in West Java, in Bandung, Garut, Sumedang, and in North Sumatra. So we are doing advocacy, also the evidence-based, because we're doing impact evaluation. And once we kind of have a good model, we're working also with the village key stakeholders, community health workers, also the village chairman, as well as the PKK, and of course the local cadres, and how we can also leverage our models to attract more our supporters, CSR donors, and also sharing our key takeaway, knowledge exchange with the all stakeholders, ministries, as well as NGOs, as well as the private companies, to leverage this issue to these models to more, so we can reach out to more population. So once we have already a key takeaway and impact evaluation, we leverage our models using the digital platform, so we can democratize our services to all the villages, all the local leaders, all the district and province who also willing to commit to champion this issue in a champion village-based stunting elevation program in Indonesia. So we can connect them with, if they have problem and their village fund is kind of not sufficient, they can also get help, collaboration from the company CSR who are willing also to contribute to the stunting issue. We know that the state-owned company also one of the mandate now, also helping the extreme poverty and stunting issue. So it's kind of working as stakeholders, because it doesn't take genius, or it doesn't take expert or there is social authority. We have to work together. So I think that's the study case. And my last key takeaway would be regarding the business, how we can validate the solution, validate the product, services, and business model to the using the validation scheme. Because entrepreneurship is not just about what you can do, what can you make, what you can produce, and you try to sell as hard as you can. Not, but we have to flip the mindset. What kind of service, what kind of product that market needs? That's also the critical thinking part, entrepreneurship mindset. We also working with all local people all over Indonesia using these tools, validation. We have to build our assumption. What kind of assumption? What kind of maybe hypothesis you get? So you have to go to your user persona or user market, segment market, talk with them, get the insight from them as fast as you can, fail fast, learn faster, so you get insight to build your product. So I think this is very common in our approach. Apologize, this slide is still in Bahasa. For example, in Gunung Kidul, in South Mountain, Yogyakarta, we empowered one of the village near Ngelanggeran in Patuk to create using their village fund. Also, they got the support from Astra, our clients, to build the community-based enterprise. They have in their village in near forest, Wanagama forest. They have a lake there. It's kind of natural. But they have idea. Okay, we want to use this village fund 1 billion rupiah to become the community-based tourism. We can fishing spot and also the restaurant there, because so many tourists come to Yogyakarta, right? Before they go to the beach, they can come over to this village to try the new spot. And also they want to create a store when they all about fishing, they can provide. But we ask them, okay, is there any fishermen come here occasionally? Okay, we during our independence time, we have a competition here, and there are plenty of people come here. So we ask them to interview them. For example, are you during the day you do fishing? No, I have a full-time job, so only fishing in the weekend. So I think that's the important, for example, for important insight. If they want to open the business, fishing business, 24 hours 7 days, is going to be zero, because all of the fishermen in Yogyakarta are actually not jobless. They are go to the office. For the second maybe question, for example, are you do you think?
We're just running out of time. So yep, if possible,
Okay.
yeah, to do the shorter version. Sorry, carry on, but hopefully only a few more points.
Yes, I think so. The key takeaway points would be how you build the entrepreneurship mindset along with community empowerment. This is not just teaching. This is not, okay, this is entrepreneurship. No, but we have to work with them. We have to build their critical thinking, entrepreneurial mindset, and practice with them. So I think that's what would be my key point. The last slide would be the regarding the funding. So in terms of how you can leverage, you can scale up your initiative. I saw lots of initiative in your profile. Uh, there's so many possibilities. Now we also have lots of partner in this funding scheme. If you want to start from social sectors, you can use lots of crowdfunding. You can looking for CSR. Once as our foundation tactic strategy, we once we get profit from the social activities, we invest some of the money to build a business, earn money. But if you come from business sectors, maybe you can start on how you can also build the social activities that also collide or intersect with your business value. That's what also we built with our clients, corporation, ESG, and also the corporate share value to activate the social activities that also impact your business value in the long term. And also in the middle sector, impact investment, like what we did in PT Lentera Mitra Strategis. We invest in the profitable business like modern housing, small housing, because Indonesia is still like 6 million backlog, 6 million unit of housing in Indonesia, housing crisis. And we can use the money for another mission driven for non-profit. So I think that will be my key takeaway. Now the ecosystem is kind of growing and growing. So good news for you who already had an ideas, and also you already has business acumen, business plan. So maybe we can also talk in some other time. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Parawan.
Congoris. Yeah, and you started to answer some of those questions that have already come in about funding. So that's great. Um, so yeah, please keep the questions coming in. There's some really interesting ones already for both of our speakers, but I will now like to invite our second speaker from Australia. So Asma Hilal, who, like Congoris, is also an alumni of the IMEP. So welcome back, Asma. Asma is the Chief Operating Officer of Creating Chances, which is a leading youth development through sport organization, which operates in schools and communities across Australia. I'm trying to youth development through sport is one section of that. So it operates to achieve better health, education, and employment outcomes for the beneficiaries that go through, and I'm sure Asma will explain that more in her talk. But Asma also drives sport for social change and youth development initiatives across Australia and the Asia Pacific region. And she actually founded the International Muslim Women in Sport Network and has led development of the Sportswomen for Change Leadership Forum, and as well as the implementation of the Festival 23 Global Women's Leadership Festival, which ran in parallel with the Women's World Cup in 2023, FIFA Women's World Cup. And Asma has worked to create a number of programs and campaigns that promote inclusive practices for women and girls in sport, as well as building capacity of young people to lead positive change. So looking forward to hearing from your insights. Asma, welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. As you're talking and reminding me of some of the work, I'm like, I should update my slides to reflect that. It's such a privilege and an honor to be joining everyone here, reading through the biographies or the profiles. It's extremely impressive, and I have also so much to learn from everyone. But alas, I'm very excited to share some of my work, all the work that we do at Creating Chances. And yeah, hopefully we have a good dialogue afterwards. So assalamu alaikum, everyone. Now, I just want to make sure I'm sharing screen because I see my face. Okay, let's see, there's a new tab.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Inshallah. Excellent. Now, I'm not going to see faces. Let's present. Okay, Bismillah. Okay. So, as Rowan mentioned, yes, I'm an alumni 2012. At the time, I think it was celebrating its 10-year anniversary. It was one of the most life-changing experiences of my life. It's quite, I'd say young. Hadn't traveled much and hadn't explored too much of the world. Very insular. I was born and raised in Australia, in Sydney, Western Sydney, to parents who migrated from Egypt in 1970. So my upbringing was very, I would say, it's Australian, underpinned by Islamic values, alhamdulillah. But when I found out and was invited to apply for the opportunity to visit Indonesia, I was, in awe of the fact that it had the most Muslims. I was surrounded by Arab Muslims most of my life, and Australians, but to visit another country that was predominantly Islamic was a very exciting opportunity. So from there, it was just a ripple effect of other opportunities, alhamdulillah. I played football most of my life, and I'd say I was a late bloomer in the sense that I actually finally understood how to play the game in a very strategic way later in my life, in my early 20s. And that was really because I had good coaches. I only arrived at the point of early 20s to have a very good coach at that time, which I then tried out for a New South Wales Premier League team and won some championships, captained the team to some of those trophies. But then I tore 2 ACLs along that journey. Their knee ligaments, if you're not familiar with those, with the anatomy of the body. But unfortunately, yeah, just I continued to play, but it just was never an outcome for me to play nationally. But what it did expose me to was opportunity to advocate for Muslim women, because at the time FIFA was going to ban the hijab at a global level for international athletes. And no one else, while I was playing, was confident to speak up, to speak to media, to advocate. So I was kind of shoved in that spotlight to champion the cause of the hijab in the sports realm. And alhamdulillah, it was lifted in 2014. I studied exercise and sports science, very passionate about sport and physical activity. Wasn't very focused in my education and schooling, except later, again, I was a late bloomer in understanding the value of education during university and college, alhamdulillah. And then, yeah, worked as a personal trainer for a little bit, but then found my way into this world of youth work, community development, and helping refugee families settle into Australia. And one way I discovered that was through sport and helping young women and men and boys to play football in a very accessible way. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. But then, yeah, as that journey evolved in working in sport for community development, I became a facilitator, program manager, and now I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Creating Chances, leading, social enterprise, focusing on positive youth development for youth through sport. yeah, I was part of leading the evolution from what was ad hoc programming to something structured, curriculum-aligned pathways, reaching thousands of young people across New South Wales, alhamdulillah. And I was invited back to Indonesia post AIMEP to run some women's football leadership programs, which you can see in these photos. And that photo in the top right, it was actually playing a World Cup FIFA record-breaking match at the lowest point on Earth in the Dead Sea in Jordan. Actually, that was yeah, a massive opportunity, actually, with other women from around the world playing in an 11-a-side football match at the lowest point on Earth. It was very hot and dry. We lost, though. So with Creating Chances, our mission, you could say, is to empower every young Australian to navigate life's challenges through transformative pathways, ensuring well-being, so sustained well-being, lifelong learning, so education, and then meaningful employment. Those are the three sort of impact areas we focus on. I wanted to share this journey as well with you because when we first started in 2014, officially, it was established by two NGOs or two smaller organizations called Football United and the Rugby Youth Foundation. And they both started around 2004, 2006. But this was a good exercise for me to take my mind way back and be able to just see how far we've come and just be able to articulate that you don't just, you know, expand nationally overnight or expand across the state in a short period of time, especially if you want to do it well. So now, you know, post establishment, we're a social enterprise with 90 staff members, and we reach our programs across 2 states in Australia. So New South Wales mostly, and Victoria. There's a lot of Victorians here, but I mean, we've only got one program at the moment in Frankton, but more to come, inshallah. We actually nearly shut down in 2012. We were reliant heavily on government grants and donations. Even when we launched a really significant impact report, university-led, there was a change in government at the time, a lot of funding taken away from youth programs. Then now we've shifted into more of a diversified funding model with multiple sources of funding. We launched our first regional program, so you know, Sydney Metro and Western Sydney surrounds was where we operated mostly. But then when you start driving and at about 2 hours north, 2 hours south, we start calling that a little bit regional, maybe. You're stuck in traffic for 2 hours and you're still in Sydney sometimes. But in this case, geographically, we were considered operating in regional programs. And then now we're in about 12 regions across the state, more rural, remote, higher populations of First Nations, Aboriginal communities, and it's a real privilege to work in those communities now. We had a bit of an ad hoc approach to programming and just designed programs and activities as they go, and we were reliant heavily on volunteers. And now we, alhamdulillah, operate a pathway of programs that are structured, each program between 20 and 30 sessions, with permanent staff, with frameworks that are underpinning them, and learning management systems to support our staff, you know, train and scale those programs widely. We had volunteers or facilitators that are a bit inconsistent because of the volunteer and the casual nature, to now more skilled facilitators and a more embedded training program and competency framework. Again, programming was a little bit siloed, and now there's a fully integrated youth development model from 8 years old all the way through to 17, 18. And I'll show a graphic of that in a moment. And then we had some visibility from, you know, our Football United program and Rugby Youth in terms of public media, what we do, who knows about us, to hosting, you know, larger scale international events, attending large events in line with the World Cup. And Rowan mentioned the Sportswomen for Change Forum that's funded by DFAT. When COVID came along, I was very much inspired with how AIMEP and Rowan and Bruna adapted their hybrid model, or first online and then hybrid, and we implemented a very similar model inspired by AIMEP. So with women from Arab regions using sport for development, and they we're engaging with Australian women with similar qualities and experiences. We work with global partners. So if you've heard of Juan Mata, any football fans out there, he founded an NGO, co-founded an entity or an enterprise called Common Goal. And so they donate, players donate 1% of their salaries to Football for Good organization. So we're a member, especially as part of our Football United branch. Now we're a member of Common Goal, which gives us opportunities to work globally and more specifically Asia Pacific. So when we're talking, so I just maybe some theory, if anyone was interested, in terms of how we're set up as a social enterprise, I'd recommend going into this website, because whenever you hear the word social enterprise, you think, yeah, you buy a cup of coffee and the profits go to a nice charity program or something. Well, that's how I initially interpreted it, but there's so many different ways you can be a social enterprise. So we operate as a social enterprise by essentially providing a service or selling a service to the education sector, and the income that we receive from that goes back into the services and the young people we employ to deliver them. So the programs we operate are social impact programs. This is, you could say, our theory of change. So the context that we operate in is low socioeconomic, highly disengaged from school. Post-COVID, there's issues around school attendance, risk of, like, there's a lot of racial tension and bullying, mental health issues, and yeah, I guess what that could result in is this idea that when you feel disconnected or when you don't feel a sense of belonging, that could lead into things like not engaging with education, not engaging with employment, and so it has some negative consequences on society ultimately. But our solution is that we work collaboratively, similar to Goris, in that stakeholders are key, your partners are key to success, and so yeah, so this is, you could say, a three-way scenario where we operate as an organization. We work closely with the private sector, philanthropic groups for financial resources, donations and funding, but also access to skilled volunteers, their spaces. We do industry site visits for young people, work experience opportunities. And then importantly, the schools we operate in, especially working with, that's the safest space to work with the young people, and I guess easiest to access as well. So as I mentioned, yeah, our programs can be anywhere between 10, 20, 30 weeks, and each program runs in the school environment or after school in a community setting. And our facilitators come out and deliver those. And these are some of the short-term and medium-term outcomes, very much prevention-oriented, focusing on, mental health outcomes, similar, to the ones listed here. So mostly around resilience, optimism, cross-cultural engagement, and sense of belonging. And that results in, access to paid employment, better relationships in the classroom with their teachers, higher respect. Just young people putting their hand up saying, I want to go for a leadership opportunity in the school. I want to be school captain. I want to volunteer. Just these programs give them that confidence to put their hand up.
Probably about 2 more minutes.
Yes.
If that's okay. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, no problem, inshallah. So this is just an image of New South Wales and all the programs we work in, many schools. And these are some of the frameworks that we implement to deliver those programs. So at the center is our why, some of our frameworks underpinning, all based on positive youth development, social emotional learning, trauma-informed practice, which then informs how we deliver those sessions and activities. And our focus and our main approach is play with purpose. So it's experiential on the field or even in the classroom, but there's very much movement and engagement. These are our programs. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the end stages, they engage in a school-based traineeship. So they complete about 100 days 700 hours worth of work by the time they finish school, paid work, and they work with us. So there's very tangible outcomes in employment. And everything we do is underpinned by monitoring and evaluation. And this other concept here of evaluating your impact is this social return on investment. So we had our programs evaluated, and for every dollar spent on our programs, there's especially on our employability workshops or programming, there's an $11 return in terms of how much is saved on, you know, the justice system and other areas of society. Just some stories of some really great people in our team who were former participants, now work with us and also pursue further education and employment in the sports sector and in other industries. And this young man here works in transport. I might just, I don't know, and this might come in the discussions actually in terms of lessons learned, but I might maybe stop at this one. What does it mean to scale? So we moved from very reactive budgeting to more strategic financial forecasting. So we started to divide our budgets up into cost centers. We got to a size where we could do that and measure things quite closely and understand how much we're spending on staff, what is the true cost of per participant in the program? Not that we're charging participants, but what does it actually mean to run the program? So yeah, in 2021, we delivered 50 programs each school term. And then by this year, we're running about 130 programs each school term, reaching over 10,000 young people. But I just wanted to make it clear that really the way we define scaling isn't so much about doing more, but it's about doing it better and deeper. And so that's all about developing local partnerships, not just a fly in, deliver a program, see you later and fly out. We don't count that as a program. And so we look at technology as well. What are the systems we can embed to ensure everyone gets the same information, trained the same way, etc. And we invest in, you know, mid-level, mid-managers now who can also carry that mission forward, not just like our CEO or myself or anyone that's been there forever. And then the diversified revenue streams is a key part of that scaling strategy, I would say. So I'll leave it there, inshallah, and then we'll open it up for more questions.
That's very interesting that if you hadn't raised it, I think I would have, and if people hadn't asked the question, I would have asked about that as well, because looking at how far you've come, and I think a few of our alumni on the AIMEP have sometimes visited you at the different schools. That was going to be a question as well. So hopefully we can discuss that in the discussion. But thank you very much, Asma, and also Kangoris, for sharing both of your experiences and insights. And I think we've got some people involved very much in entrepreneurial activities and trying to create change, whether it's in education or in, climate related activities or sustainability and working with farmers. There's quite a few people in our group, which I think a lot of these will connect with. So how about we go to the questions, and let's just go with the first one that we had from, I think it was Mas Mirza. I've lost it now, but he had a question about sustainable revenue streams, and this was a question that both of you maybe could talk about. So yeah, silakan Kang Mirza, go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, Pak Rowan. So I want to ask for the board speaker, actually, especially for Mas Goris. So my social organization is gain the funding from the government, approximately 80% of total our capital. So it is very dilemma for us because when the government changes the funding, it's properly affect our operations. I want to know for your board perspective, especially from your experience, what kind of sustainable revenue stream could be explored to reduce the dependency of government aid because I know that Mas Kori said you have a lot of connection with the CSR, with the individual donors, or a lot of things about the revenue stream. So, what is your suggestion? Do you I have to approach the CSR or the individual first, or something that maybe you can tell about your NASI framework or everything about that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, silakan. Go ahead, Kang Goris.
Yeah, Mas Mirza, I think we met for the first time 2012. It's very time flies. I think regarding your question, I think it's a good question. You can start actually, as I said before, mapping your business potential using NASI framework or RISE framework, because I think in your case, yeah, if you want to talk about sustainability in business model, you have to, yeah, we talk about how you can get money, right? That's why I think in terms of the NASI framework, you can start by mapping actually who is your network, right?
Sorry, Kang
Actually,
Goris,
it's
the audio is breaking up again. I think we might have to just try for off cam for this meeting. Unfortunately, maybe it's Banyumas. It's the we need the infrastructure.
golden water is not really good for internet. Yes, Mas Mirja. So
The
I think
golden
the
water.
second point from NASI framework is asset, right? You might have maybe asset like physical, like office, or like actually you can rent it in terms of the earn money, or in terms of getting money flow, or maybe intangible asset, right? Like methods, like what we did in Asgar Muda Foundation when we leverage our curriculum, our approach in Supercamp, so we can get the paid customer. There is a student from middle income family who actually pay our services because they interest with our approach. So that's in terms of asset, right? It is not just only physical buildings, tangible asset, but also intangible asset, approach models. If you have in your organization what kind of asset, what kind of approach curriculum you might, oh, maybe there is another segment market, another traditional market who are willing to pay for your services, your product. I think that's also the second idea. And also, of course, the skill. For example, in our case, I already leverage our background, our portfolio, our experience in Asgar Muda Foundation into Semut Nusantara. So we can have a business model third-party payer. Yes, we are doing a lots of transformational change in our communities all over Indonesia, but in same time we are getting paid. We are actually not social organization. We are very commercial companies. We can charge our clients as much as we can because maybe only 5 similar organization with Semut Nusantara. So I think that's how you can leverage your experience, your portfolios, your action into maybe getting some paid customer. Once we can tap into traditional market like companies who are concerned of SDGs, ESG, also how create the ecosystem, long-lasting impact. So I think we can talk in their language. So we can actually sell our skills and also idea. If you found in your maybe 3 or 4 ideas that lots of this framework intersect in ideas part, maybe that's your biggest potential. So I think focus on the getting the earn money or business models, and you can start actually mapping your potential. Maybe in my slide I have 3 examples. Actually the mapping you can maybe do also. And yes, I think that's if we are talking about how we can leverage our maybe non-profit, I think it's another language, right? If you want to find donor, maybe what's Asma also mentioned, SROI, social investment also help. It's part of the transparency in part of the universal language, that our model is not just okay, I want to make change, but we cannot calculate, measure our impact. So maybe it is also helpful. Once you also, if you are focusing on non profit, you can leverage your model using advocacy, maybe like evidence-based policy, what we did to governor, to bupati, make sure that this is at the right moment. You can expose, you can disseminate your impact evaluation to other stakeholders, to donors in forum, international forum, as well as you can create mini gatherings to convey your dissemination, your impact. So I think there's another effort if we talk about nonprofit. So, but I think I would stress about using this mapping, so you have certain plans to come up with, and also once you get a clearer idea, we can do some coaching. I think that's really helpful. I think that's all, Mas Mirja. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kangoris. And yeah, I'd like to hear as well from Asma, because you guys transitioned as well from 100%, I think, government funding to, I'm not sure
Yeah,
what it is.
almost.
But
Yeah.
can you tell us
Yeah,
a little bit about that?
yeah, now it's pretty much a third. So we have schools that pay, they have budget, the government grants, and the department directly funds, and then a third of donations and philanthropy. Yeah, and so for us, maybe I think Goris said quite a bit on this, but my main contribution would be that I think equipping everyone with the skills to sell. When we transitioned into this social enterprise model, we were all coaches, mentors, youth workers, administrators. No one was a official business person, and so we had to learn quickly around CRMs and the sales approach, sales tactics, and funnels, and pipelines, and all these terminologies. But that was just the reality. And it made us quite uncomfortable. But the moment we had the first sale from a school that purchased it, it was quite small, but the time was huge. We almost fell off our chair because we didn't think we could sell anything, because previously we would give our programs for free because they were funded by the government. And so it was almost like, why should we be paying now? And so we will learn the language, we learned to justify and articulate the impact of actually the value for money, and don't undersell yourself. I think costing it out appropriately is also important. So yeah, those would be my main key points there.
Yeah, so often happens, I think a lot of us are kind of subject matter experts, but we need to, like yourself, we need to do an MBA or something, or do a little bit of training in the sales area. So yeah, very interesting. Let's go to I think maybe I thought we had a question about. Okay, no, sorry, I was making that up. Let's go let's go to Kak Sami from Sulawesi. Would you like to ask your question? Maybe it's more of an Indonesian focused question, but we'll see. Silakan.
All right, thank you, Parwan, for the opportunity, and thank you so much, Kak Goris, for your presentation. Yeah, so my question is about the allocation of Dana Desa or village fund that you already mentioned. And I would say that based on my experience, this is not an easy task. And even between 2020 until 2022, we even held a demonstration to our village leadership here, but the respective oversight units couldn't do much. And sorry, it's quite noisy here. So based on that, in the end, this time head of the village was still re-elected for the second period. So it's quite disappointed too. So based on your experience, how do you navigate these kind of challenges, and how to motivate village governments to be more transparent in allocating their funds to the community?
Yeah, I think that would be a good question, Mbak Sami. First, I think if you still have a choice, my advice would be just focus on the village who already has a commitment, right? Because as Aaron already said, Innalo halayugoyiru komi hata yugoyiru mbabi anfusihim. You can only change the society, the community who are willing to change, right? That's the first thing. But if you have to create a change in that kind of hard condition, as we did, because we are maybe for example, our clients already has their first priority in their area. natural resource company. So we have to identify working with the local champion who share our values, right? Who share our interests, who maybe probably support your approach and are will also interest in how to create a change because there are so many problems. Once you already identify the local champion, you have to do organizing. Who are the key stakeholders? That's why social stakeholder mapping is crucial. You have to mobilize their commitment, their capacity, so you can influence directly to the programming and budgeting of the village level. For example, we kind of work with in our SAP Nation Indonesia. We are working with 5 stakeholders in village level: village chairman or sekdes, of course with PKK or Women Empowerment Organization, Community Workers, Kader Pembangunan Manusia or KPM, and also the nutritionist or maybe Kepala Puskesmas, primary healthcare. So we have already capacitated their awareness, their knowledge, how we can turn during our pendampingan, during our technical and advocacy support, in order they can influence to the village programming, so they have more quality, more various, and more based on data program. So we can monitoring, evaluating what kind of change, what kind of program that works in that reducing the stunting, right? Not just giving the makan bergizi gratis or free meal or PMT for the malnutrition, pregnant women, and also the stunting children, but also how you touch into sensitive indicators like the remaja or a girl adolescent, maybe iron pills, and so many infrastructures and social coverage things. So I think that's once we kind of not just training one time, but pendampingan or maybe working with the several months. That's how we can see tipping point. How we can see people shared same concern, more convergence. They are talking with the same language and more stakeholder involved. So I think that's why it's really helpful identify the local champion, whether it's for community or for the village authority. And the third, it takes a process. For example, we have annually our village community-based tourism are the champion by the Ministry of the Tourism last year from Banyuwangi, Kemiren, and also from Bali, Buleleng. Before from Klaten, Desa Wisata Wayang Village. It takes 1 year, 2 year working together. How we can, it takes process, right? But we can prove our approach to our clients, getting more money, getting more clients. So I think how you can also build your you can only grow by this challenge, right? There is no growing in comfort zone. You have to create a social innovation. You can sandbox test. You have to identify more people who are willing people to change using sandbox test. With the minimum resource, you can invite so many people in activities that you can identify the dynamic, who has the power, who are the organizer, who are the opportunities one. So I think that's the third. This kind of advance, the third point. But I think we can, if we have full 1 day, we have so many programs, so many study case, we can show you how to do this. But I think the most important one, for example, first thing, just do the activities with the one who are willing to change the commitment. That's all I think. Thank you, Basami.
Thank you, Kang Goris. It's clearly it's not an overnight task. What both of you are describing, and I think that's kind of a myth about sort of creating these really successful enterprises, is that it can happen easily and quickly. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And also using lots of data, which both of you have shared as well, like in order to convince people. I want to ask Mbak Erin, you had a question which I think it's about scaling. So I think both our speakers, maybe Asma could go first and then Mbak Erin, would you like to ask your question about scaling?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Wan, for the chance. Yeah. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you. Yeah. If you talk, I think we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. To Mas Goris or Kang Goris. So in my community, Sukan Lintas Iman, so we have like three bakulan from Japanese language, like selling product. So we started this small group within our community since COVID-19. So some of our members like affected by the pandemic economically. And surprisingly, we still have this group until today, but I have to confess that this group is not so much scale up. And yeah, uh, as a person who has not like a business background, so um, I want to like do something new probably that I can start like an evaluation or research assessment for this business group, interfaith women business group. But I don't know how to start, and if I when I get the data, what should I do or me and my team do in this community? Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Yeah, whichever of our speakers would like to respond first. I think Asma or Goddess. I'm not.
I'm happy
You,
for Goris to take this. That's fine. Yeah.
yeah. Silakan, Kang Goddess. Have you've heard of the Bakulan? Kang Goddess wants you to go first, I think. You go
Yeah.
ahead about talk about scaling. Yeah, that was what I think you started to talk about in your presentation, and then Kang Goddess can add.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh, okay.
really helpful if you can do coaching, right, Mbak Erin? Maybe I will. May I ask you in terms of what you want to scale up or you want to develop Bakulan? Maybe in my assumption as a business institution, or maybe in terms of the reaching out to another small medium enterprise all of Indonesia, or maybe what, Mbak Erin, especially your plan for Bakulan.
Yeah, for Bakulan, like how to support our members to grow up or make their seller growing up. So like the benefit as a business woman, as entrepreneur.
So, in terms of how you better support your SMEs to grow their business, right, Mbak Erin? Not
Yes,
for
yes,
sustainability of
exactly.
Bakulan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I Yeah, I think Bakulan, if I'm not mistaken, already has lots of good starting point, right? In terms of the network, as I mentioned before, you already kind of famous during the pandemic, right, and all over Yogyakarta, and also has a good reputation. That's of course your social capital. The second one, I think Bakulan has value, has your strength in terms of the SMEs, right? You have SMEs ranging from sate klatak frozen into secang maybe, and another herb drinks. And I remember, I think lots of small medium enterprise ranging from the beauty products, from food and beverage already listing in Bakulan as a member, right? I think that's also the good starting point. That's your strength, the variety of SMEs, and of course the network. In terms of how you can leverage your potential into maybe how to develop better Bakulan for your small medium enterprise, maybe you can start by mapping in your member small medium enterprise what kind of strength do they have. Maybe they are good in digital marketing, they are good at branding, they are good at packaging, they are good at maybe a reseller scheme, they are good maybe in I don't know, maybe TikTok or maybe caption, maybe good marketing strategy, community marketing. So you can maybe start from your own data, harvesting your data, right? What kind of strong do they have? So maybe you can create maybe like monthly meeting or maybe online meeting to share among them how to maybe improve their businesses, right, in terms of digital marketing, in terms of branding and others. And for Indonesia is a big country. Also, the challenge is lies ahead. Logistic supply chain is really tough to grow business in Indonesia, especially in eastern part of Indonesia, in rural area, in the isolated island, in Wakatobi, for example, in my case, in Polewali, in Majene, how to compete with another vendors in Jakarta who has maybe population, 2/3 population in Java and Bali in Indonesia. I think if you can also build this system, logistic, in terms of who else your member who has a customer in Sumatra, customer in Kalimantan, maybe you can logistic, you can send the barang, maybe you can sell your goods, your SME's product in maybe same truck, same container. So I think it will decrease significantly logistic cost. This is the really challenge for small medium enterprise in Indonesia. Maybe that's one example. Another maybe, for example, in my case, when we doing community empowerment with students with Jarum Foundation, we can leverage their product with rebranding, with co-branding, with bigger products. So it is not just competition, but we can tap in to their channel, their 100 reseller, the same product actually. The fried fish, ikan from Jambi, ikan I forget the Jambi, and also in Yogyakarta, using their channels. So there is a win-win solution. The big company, I think, can use their already big distribution product for new product, but also the lesser company use their canal, this distribution to do promotion, to getting more customer, to getting more resellers. So I think they also another part on how we can leverage this. So I think it's really depend on your plan and your strength. It's what suit you doesn't suit me. We're quite different. There is no one formula, but I think we can. I come to Yogyakarta actually tomorrow, and then to Lombok, to Bali. So yeah, let's have some coffee if you have some free time. Thank you.
Yeah,
think
thank you, Mas Dore. Hopefully, I can meet you in Jogja.
I think it's going to
I might,
be
I might just
yeah, go
jump
on.
in
Yep.
and add maybe 2 points. Is that Sister Erin, you asked the question around research and evaluation, and my recommendation is keep it as simple as possible and focus on storytelling. If you can, before you develop this robust monitoring and evaluation framework and you do a pre-test, post-test, I would say identify some really good women in the organization who could share a powerful story and use the story of most significant change model. It's a good framework to help you shape that story in a way that people might want to fund and understand a bit more of the work you do. That would be my recommendation, absolutely. And then the scaling piece, I would say, I think depends on the goal. Is it a matter of reaching a certain number, or is it distributing or sharing knowledge, or through train the trainer approach, or is it through strategic partnerships? Like there's a lot of work that can be done outside of direct selling, and that is relationship building. And Goris has said it, I think, numerous times, is that the relationships and the networks you build will stay with you forever. You do something for someone, or you have a conversation with someone, and it might not be beneficial for you until 10 years later, but that benefit has a strong outcome. I remember a very quick anecdote. When we first started one of our programs for primary school children, we had a very small partnership with an NGO to work together on rolling out the pilot. And the person we worked with on that, when she was at this NGO, we both moved on, finished the project. I'd say 6 years later, moved to a very big mental health organization called Headspace. She reached out 6 years later by email saying, we want your program. And it resulted in like a $150,000 project because of that one relationship or encounter we had in that small project 6 years ago. So I think the relationships and the networks you build are very powerful because they can have a massive effect later down the track.
Yeah, thank you. Very lots of great advice for Kak Erin there, and yeah, I hope it succeeds in expanding, and please keep us updated. I actually was going to ask perhaps if in your experience, Asma, with creating chances, was there a particular sort of hump where you sort of had to get over this hump in terms of scaling, and then it got a little bit easier after that in terms of expanding? And is that, I feel like for a lot of us, we're trying to expand the scale of what we're doing, there might be I don't know. Is that something that
Yeah, I
you relate
think
to?
in that then and now table, one of the main issues, the teething growth pains, was this trying to balance how much staff we need. What's the demand and the supply almost?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
number of programs were growing slowly, but we still could only couldn't guarantee, a forecast of number of programs to commit people permanently. And so people wanted permanent work, and we could only give them casual work or volunteer. So there was this sort of push and pull. We, as management or staff, had to do a lot of the delivery and coordination for a long period of time until there was an opportunity. Like, I think we got HR advice, human resource advice, and also took a risk, some risks help in being able to say, all right, we're going to commit to this person or these people permanently. We'll train them effectively, but also back that up with strong foundations of how we're going to generate revenue, so that it's worth the investment. It's a hard one. I don't think there's a clear definitive, you do this and then this. You got to feel it. You got to take the risks when you think you've got the right pipeline of funding coming through, and you assess the probability of things that are coming based on all the relationships you're building, right? And that was language we had to develop.
yes,
But yeah, that was
yeah.
If you have one source of funding too, if it's just the government, I guess that's a hard one. But yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I won't suggest it, but I was going to say maybe it's
Well,
a
no,
fee
Kak
for
Erin's
service.
question.
Participants pay, but no, I don't
Yes.
think that's going to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
down
No,
well.
but it's like that demand and supply thing, which I think you have to invest in the resource to supply the product, but if you haven't got the revenue, you can't do that yet. So there's a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
Mas Mujib has a question for Kang Goris about, teaching people how to fish rather than giving them fish. Is that the gist of that one? It's a great one, and I'm looking forward to, yeah. So Mas Mujib, would you like to ask your question, building economic independence?
Thank you, Pak Rowan. My question is for Kak Goris. I think in our pesantren, Nurul Jadid, where I work, we run economic empowerment. We got government, we have business in agriculture and so on and so forth. But we also give them skill like reskilling training and also small grant for those local women and local people to run their business ideas. But when the funding stopped, and then we saw that so many of them become stagnant, like they cannot develop their business. Sometimes some of them become collapse and they shift to another job. Like they come back to their local mainly job, like become fishermen, and the women become the farmers. So my question is, how can we build ideal economic independence that the locals continue to do not depend on that assistant, and instead they can develop the entrepreneurial spirit and determination to grow their business for the benefit of their family and also wider community. Because the mindset of the people, mostly in my local people, they tend to depend on the grant from the government, CSR. Like we are living nearby the biggest power plant in Southeast Asia, PLTU Python, and then they like to put their hand like this and ask for help and fund. So my question is how we build a real economic independence and change their mindset that we help them and then they need to help them. Like you mentioned in like the one cannot change their own state without their willingness of themselves. This is my question for Kak Goris. And for Sister Asma, I think I'm very interested in your work that you build like sport club for young women, young girls. But in my pesantren, we are living with local values where girls are limited with strict rules and regulation. Moreover, we talk about like morality, moral standard in our pesantren. So how can we actually build trust to our religious and community leader that to give them more space? Moreover, those who have dropped out of school, sometimes they have to expel from the pesantren and school because they got married by accident, like they do premarital activities. And then we also see that the situation of young women in our community, they tend to become naughty, join their friends to do some unbeneficial activities. So in your point of view, as pesantren leaders and as pesantren educator, what we can do to change the mindset of the people to give the second chance for those who are not having the privilege to go to school just because their economic condition. Second, for those who are actually the victims of violence and also premarital activities. So please, for the question, I say thank you. And for the answer, I say thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Who wants to? We just heard from I don't know, either one of you can go first if you like. Whoever's fastest to unmute, I don't mind.
I can just go quickly maybe and
Okay.
see how I can. It's an excellent question and one that I always wonder about too. No, but I mean, I think I did write there somewhere that it's good to meet people with where they're at, trying to be an activist and change mindsets with in a forceful way. Obviously, we know that doesn't work. So I would first try and understand, what are the hesitations, what are their concerns, and what do they value? If their value is education, and I'm so sorry. Sorry, this is my daughter Hafsa. Sorry, maybe I'll pass it to Goris and then I can come back, inshallah. So 1 second.
I think that's dinner time, right, Asma?
It's actually sleep time.
Thank you for the question, Gus Mujib. I think that's a really interesting question, and I think it's very common in Indonesia, right? But once again, I feel that maybe more discussion will be helpful to understand the context. But I think I can maybe relate to some of our experience in Indonesia. First is misconception. If maybe you are used to go to the village or to go to the areas in Indonesia, if you ask the question to villagers, ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak, what do you need to start a business? Modal. Kami butuh modal. Just follow up the question. What kind of modal? What kind of capital? Ibu-ibu, how much money you need? They cannot answer. So maybe in their mind, it's not modal, it's not capital, it's aid, it's bantuan they need. Once they get the money, okay, we distribute the money, okay, bye. Maybe that's the maybe a misconception. So maybe based on the previous practice, government program, I think that's kind of common. So maybe first, that's really unhelpful, the first misconception. And the second one is bias. We tend to maybe, okay, this is a government program, top-down approach. In the fiscal year, we have a program to business of menjahit or tailor. Let's train ibu-ibu, all of them, to maybe produce something, right? So that's really our previous common practice. So I would suggest we are doing some assessment, what kind of maybe skills, potential, minat, or maybe their hobby. For example, their maybe previous experience by maybe semi-coaching experience, what what do you see? Oh, I have here a house near SD elementary school. What kind of potential? We have hundreds of students every day. What can you offer? Maybe we can sell the ice juice, ice, right? You can say ice juice maybe to them because it's kind of hot nowadays. Okay, what do you need? Or maybe a juicer or okay. So let's start for before we jump into an assumption. Maybe Koperasi Merah Putih because due to the technical government document KLBI should need to gas business, sembako business. It's really tough because it's really complex, right? Our situation is really different potential. So let's start with the small kind of activation. Maybe you can start from ibu-ibu doing some semi-coaching, maybe discussion, assessment, what their skill. Oh, I used to create content in TikTok. Okay, that's one. I used to maybe cook keripik, the chips from singkong, from cassava. Okay, so I think that's really helpful, and of course, involving the ecosystem. Maybe the nearest market at that point. What kind of maybe the SWOT analysis. So I think that's really helpful. So avoid jump into maybe a conclusion assumption. Okay, if we start the business, they are interested to join. If we start the business, they will continue the business once the program is terminated. So I think that's assumption. So we have to avoid the assumption. Just go. Who is the beneficiaries? You have to talk with them, potential customer. What kind of if we want to create this, what kind of this is already happening in our maybe approach, right? For example, in community-based tourism, in eco tourism, we also ask the students what kind of activities that relate to your curriculum, what kind of potential activation from this community-based tourism that are related for your curriculum, what are their willingness to accept, willingness to pay, what kind of facilities we should create. We should make a questionnaire, ask them, and I think that's really expensive insight to our business planning. So let's start with discuss with your beneficiaries assessment and also discuss with your potential customer. I think it's really helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kang Goris, and also Asma for the replies. I feel as though we have touched on a huge range of topics this afternoon. I think wider than usual.
Rowan,
but we've gone into sorry.
I'm so sorry. Is it okay if I just finish my point before
please.
my daughter should have been asleep.
Sorry.
No, very quickly, I just wanted to address the point, and that I think there needs to be a champion person that these community leaders maybe respect their opinion of, to be able to either convince or just share and highlight the values of sport or women and girls taking part in physical activity, in meeting them, in understanding that sport can be designed in any way. Girls only spaces, the girls can wear modest clothing, they can be coached by someone respectable, a Muslim woman who upholds Islamic values. So I think it's being able to convince them that there isn't a threat to the deen or the faith or Islamic values, and in fact it will enhance the Islamic values. And the last point quickly was the idea of the pesantren, expelling students for not adhering to the rules. When you start, it might be worth if expelling isn't working and changing mindsets, and it's a continual issue, then I would say the positive youth development approach, when it's addressed in a sensitive way, understanding the why behind the behavior, is there gaps in understanding of Islamic teachings on relationships? Is there external pressure, peer pressure? How do we help create this sense of belonging and connection in the school with the student? We're still addressing the seriousness of their actions. So it could be counseling or mentorship or a plan for reintegration, maybe if they are, have a time out from the school but come back with these conditions, giving young people chances. Creating chances is a powerful thing, because we don't want to turn them away from the deen entirely. You know, if you expel them, how do we know that they're gonna be able to repent or whatever, you know, come back to the school or to the safe environment. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, inshallah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I feel as though the role models element is such an important thing because, as human beings, I think we like to, we it just functions better if we have someone that we can kind of emulate and just kind of see how it works and see someone who's achieved it and, have a mentor, hopefully. But yes, and I also agree about that. It's something that Australian schools also struggle with when to, expel a student. I don't think it happens very often. It has to be very serious. Um, and yeah, but what happens to them afterwards? So, and yeah, turning people away from Islam entirely is, maybe not so much an issue in Indonesia, but yeah. Anyway, but perhaps something we can continue talking about in our breakout rooms. But thank you so much to both of our speakers. I'm just wary of time, and we've still got discussion in our breakout rooms to go, and I'm sure people will want to share their own experiences. And yeah, I was saying before, I feel like we've gone deeply into the weeds, as we say in English, we into the weeds. What do you say in Bahasa Indonesia? Yeah. We've really gone into depth, into detail, into what, some of the challenges we have in each of our communities. And hopefully there are some resources and some ideas. And I think both of our speakers have said that, you can reach out to them on LinkedIn and other contact details, perhaps, if you want to follow up any resources. And we'll also try and hopefully share those PowerPoint presentations for further ideas. I think Kangoris is also going to be doing a roadshow across through all your coffee shops in the near future. But let's let's pause for now and thank our speakers once again for their time and generosity in answering the questions and reflecting, yeah, on your experiences. We really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your insights. Hopefully it's of some benefit to us all, inshallah. Now, as usual, at this point, we have the breakout sessions for about 20 minutes where we can discuss amongst, reflect between our group communities, share some of our own experiences as well. So Mbak Ulfa has just shared the questions there. Can you share any challenges and successes from your own journey in creating change in your community? I think there's quite a few who will have something to say. Yeah, so please, thank you once again to our speakers, and hopefully we will see you both in person at some point soon, inshallah. And yeah, when you're ready, Ulfa, please open up the breakout rooms. Okay, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Apologies, we're a little bit over time this evening, but hopefully we can keep the reflections nice and singkat, brief, is what I'm trying to say. I'm speaking Indo-English. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully we can do that. I'm just going to go randomly to room 4. Howard, Kak Nisa, Darul, Erin, and Juliana. Were there any thoughts or comments that you guys had, or reflections about your experiences that you wanted to share? Maybe from someone who hasn't shared back before, or shall I just choose someone? Maybe, I don't know, I haven't heard from, I think we've heard from everyone. Anybody want to throw a hand up? Okay.
Darul, please.
I think it's me.
Nisa.
Mas Darul, I
Sounds
think
like
I'm being
Mas
nominated.
Darul has been nominated.
Okay, wait. Oh, sorry. I'm actually replying some messages. So where can I start? So from the beginning, from Kang Goris, we actually discussing that we totally agree with Kang Boris that we cannot come as superhero that we want to fix all the problems happen in the village or in the community. So we have to come and listen as the blank paper, listen to them what they really need, and then we also need to listen from them how the method that actually works for their community. And also after that we can use that as the pilot project, and then we can sell it to the other areas, other communities, so the ideas will continue sustainably. And also regarding the funding, I think it's better to start the beginning from the government, because the government funding is actually the best funding where we can sell the ideas only to the betterment of the society, that we can sell values to the government, and that after that we can multiply it to the other targets of the other ideas when we get their trust, and we can sell their portfolios to other entities.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. I totally agree. Yeah, I really like the adaptive part of what Kangoris was talking about. You have to have adaptive solutions to the local conditions, and not top down. And also, yeah, governments are very important. You can't just be market. You can't just be left to the market. And even if something is sustainable down the track, sometimes you really need. Anyway, those of us who work in who can influence government, hopefully you're paying attention. But yeah, it can be very important to do that, if possible. Anyway, I agree, but maybe others have a different view. Maybe let's go room one. Ala, Bani, Hibat, Ridvan, please.
Yeah, we've covered so many topics. It was getting even more interesting towards the end, as always is. Yeah, talking about government policy. So we had a fascinating discussion about if Indonesia has any safe spaces for family violence victims or Islamic, like not just government, but civil society as well. So here in Victoria, back in 2014, we had the first ever family violence minister in Australia, the late Fiona Richardson. And then from that, there was a Royal Commission into family violence. And one of the foundings was there needs to be a safe haven established for victims, family violence victims, which led to the Orange Door Network. I think back in 2021, yeah, something, yeah. One of the first ones was established in Broadmeadows. So at the time, I was working for the local member of parliament in Broadmeadows district, and yeah, and so many victims were really appreciative of that. Did it resolve everything? Of course not. But leading into that, like so many victims used to call up our office, and police often couldn't really address it all because they were limited in their capacity. The courts, you put out an AVO, but still didn't stop the perpetrators many times. So it's a very complex and yeah, deeply concerning issue. So yeah, just feel like we're getting somewhere in Victoria, but there's still a long way to go. Yeah, just want to hear about what happens in Indonesia, basically. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can unpack that a bit further.
Can I just add, because Hibat did share something really amazing about his organization and how when they give the lending back, there's no like they do want the lending back from the participant or the grant recipient. And subhanAllah, but they say if you can't, this is from the Ummah, which I really loved, and that this is like a lending with you and Allah, and if you give back, that is good. If you don't, we understand. And he said most often than not, they not only give back, but they give more than what they've lended. So subhanAllah, yeah, I like that in terms of the kitabisa.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Mas Hibat, your organization, Kita Bisa, it's stepping into that role, I think, where there's a gap between, you know, what governments are able to do and then what the market wants to do and private individuals, and it's channeling a lot of small, you know, people who want to do something small and together building something big. Did you want to just add any more comments about that? It'd be interesting to hear from.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Yeah, we have a lending programs that the main concept is Kordul Hasan. Maybe Ustaz Mujib
Yeah.
or Mas Mirza or Mas Fatul can explain more about what is Kordul Hasan. But in short, is we have like a wallet that the content is the budget from Ummah. So Ummah fundraise we are fundraising within the public, and then the Ummah donate and etc. And then we lend it to the person, and then the person doesn't have a akad with us as the committee, but we tell them that this akad, this money is from the Ummah. So please have a commitment with the Allah, so that you will give back or pay back this one. If you don't, if you are not giving back, and yeah, that's okay. We are not going to chase you like a bank, but please have a commitment with Allah. But and then the result is amazing. They are giving back or paid back, and even more, they are paid back more than the amount that they get, because they feel that this is the help from Allah, from the Ummah, and then I will give back, and that's why the funding will be bigger and bigger, because the people that get the money, they paid back with the amount more than the amount that they get.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You have that trust from the giver, and they also have that commitment, and the you know, it's that you know, it's not something that you can explain in terms of market, or you know, like it's this commitment to Allah, and you know, this is something that is deeply personal to them. Thank you. Thanks very much for sharing that. Yeah, I just want to give opportunity for people in the other rooms as well. Mas Fatur, Mbak Dina, Mbak Ismi, Mas Mirza are in room 2. Yeah, did you have any thoughts? What were you guys chatting about, and any reflections you'd like to share?
I think I'd like to share.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we talk a lot about the funding, how to secure the funding and make funding sustainable in our discussion. And I think we really need to do the stakeholders mapping and to really know the funding stream or revenue stream well, in order to make our finance more sustainable. For example, just by knowing there are a lot of funding scheme. For example, Mas Mirza can build a school with a very minimum budget spend, and also can make school free for everyone. So, and
Wow.
we found out that we have unique strategies we have in order to be to be sustainable. For example, one Mas Mirza mentioned is it's not always um it's sometimes good to have an iron hand. Iron hand in order to make people more respectful to your rules, and um want to I mean, like do it the right way. So but it's not always, but sometimes it works for some cases, something like that.
Okay. I'm curious, or maybe I shouldn't ask. He's an Iron Hand leader. Okay, right. Um, maybe we can explore that one in a
But
future. Yeah, go on.
it's not really Iron Hand like Kim Jong Un or something like that. It's just another phrase he mentioned to say that kind of strict leadership in some cases.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. He's an iron hand in a velvet glove, perhaps. Okay. Thank you very much, Katina, for sharing back. It's our last theme session, so I want to make sure everyone's had a chance. So let's go to room 3. We had Kak Sami, Anjum, Ajeng, Mujib, and Kudrat. Who would like to take the lead?
Okay. I'll be talking.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I represent my breakout room. So actually, we were not really talking about the social entrepreneurship itself. We talk about more like what Sister Asma mentioned and presented in the presentation. I think we were very interested in that. Why then, we give women empowerment, especially girls, involved in youth sport, because in most of the time in Islamic culture and Islamic values, women were not given the same opportunity and chance as males, so that mixing them in a forum in sport activity is gonna be very very helpful for them to actually become empowered. I know maybe this is not really social entrepreneurship, so this related to my case in pesantren, why we expel student who did premarital action like that, because we want to save more, and then we give them lessons about that, and then we also strictly regulated about sex segregation. We are not merger the male and female student in one classroom, because this is what Islam teaching is all about. But in some cases, when we try to see from Australian perspective, it's gonna be discriminatory. But in Indonesia, because we are Muslim majority country, this is then normalized. When this is normalized by our society and our leader, sometimes the discrimination goes to the female student. When they has to be expelled from the school, they get more impact because of that. So that sometimes our community, our society becomes so conservative to give them another judgment, another judgment. So how can we actually make them economically independent, where our society and our leader do not give them opportunity or second chance to actually having more space to be empowered. So I think Sister Anjum said to me there will be another help from the expert about that. So actually the counseling, the education, and also the you know uh, personal approach to our community, to our religious leader, about how we actually think about the future of those female students who drop out of school, because they're gonna be the first madrasah for their children. They need to be financially independent. So how can we talk about social entrepreneurship when they are not given the same right as men? So I think this is sad, because I'm still living in the community that still think about those are something we like. Those female student, they get double punishment, not only moral but also social. So I think I want to give education, but in my capacity, I'm not really expert in that. So that we talk about maybe we need another help for this, because there is a future for those. There is a future for them. So that when I speak this loudly in my pesantren community, it's gonna be impact me. Like it's gonna have impact to me. So that I think we need to be slowly more adaptive and listen more and give yeah, gentle discussion about this. So I think the social entrepreneurship is not only about profit oriented, but how we can help people, how we become the voice of the voiceless and become the power of the powerless. Thank you, Rowan.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting. It's such a wide range of topics that everyone talked about. I mean, one thing I was curious about is the female students who seem to be impacted, but I wonder if the male students are, or is it harder to identify them because they don't get pregnant? Maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah, because male student is also expelled from the school, but
okay.
they are not impacted by the pregnant, like from the physical appearance.
Yeah.
We know nothing. We can hide that, but female, they are the most impactful, the most
Yeah.
impacted.
So I think, you can kind of zoom out and ask questions about, from a social perspective about, the equity of the situation there and, what are the, but absolutely. There's difficult questions, and the pesantren is a private institution, right? So it, but perhaps it's the only one in the area that's actually providing quality education. So, I think there are so many interesting questions there, and thank you for sharing that with us as well, because there in so many areas. I think that's what I was saying when I was summing up. Like, we've really ranged across, so many different areas that can be touched by social entrepreneurship. Ways that we can improve our society, um, and hopefully get some of the cost of shared by others. But yeah, I think it really is shining a light on the fact that there's so many questions, and we've had domestic violence, we've had schools dropouts, child marriage, we've had, women or men starting businesses. Anyway, there's so many things. I need to stop now because we're over time. But thank you so much for sharing back. That's our last speaker session for the IMEP online program. We have one more online session. It's the concluding session on Tuesday, next Tuesday, the usual time. And we've prepared something that we'll show you then. Hopefully a little, something you'll enjoy a little bit, hopefully. And then, there'll be our aim for that session will be kind of gathering together everything that we've experienced and gone together, learned, bringing that into, some kind of whole kind of reflection, and then saying, where are we going from here, looking ahead to as we begin the in-person program starting in Jakarta in only a few weeks' time. Jakarta. Jakarta is that Instagram video about people pronouncing different things. Anyway, so yes, looking forward to
Also,
that.
just a super quick note, everyone. Inshallah, we'll send you a link tomorrow just for a really short reflection an invitation basically to pause at this point in the program and just reflect a little bit. Hopefully, if you have time, it would be great if you can do it over the weekend, because it will also help inform us on what to do, and as we bring everyone together on Tuesday, inshallah, for our final session. But yeah, Tuesday is for you guys. And thank you so much for being such an amazing cohort. I mean, that's what we'll say to you on Tuesday as well, but I just felt like saying it now at the end of our final thematic session as well. So yeah. If anyone wants to do a I don't know. I was going to say a little performance, but you can't really do that on Zoom so much. But on Tuesday, you're welcome to let us know. Or we could save the performances until we see each other in person. Anyway.
Yes, and I just want to say before we go, I've been sending people a flurry of emails about things like insurance, boring things, forms you need to fill in. Please try and make sure you check your email, and if there's one from me, please have a look and reply, and if you haven't already done so. But yes, I think that was just make sure and yeah, and if you have a performance you'd like to do on Tuesday, please let us know. But otherwise, it'll be us performing for you, I think. So see you soon.